Shalom, shalom, our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakak, Wadash, giving double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutes to all the sincere elect out there. I'll be back at you with another lesson. And keep fighting, Akim. Keep pushing. As we know, we soon be out of this bitch. The devil's being exposed, and we're going to do a little bit more of that. I'm going to cover this one today. The 16th chapel, because we were speaking a little bit on the Renaissance, the iconoclasm, the present Pope, and for those that know, you know, this is but for those that don't know, yeah, this is called the 16th chapel, right? Where this is what took place. All the paintings on this so-called 16th chapel, right? They've got names for them, and basically what we know, as we know it, is blasphemy, right? Because they love to, that's what they love to do, the Edomite them. So another word for this is the Renaissance period, or iconoclasm. Now this was painted by, I've just checked, just gonna do some fact checking, cover a little bit more than we already have, just a little bit more today. We went into it a little bit in the week. So who was Michelangelo, right? Born March 6th, 1475, right? The place where he was born. Public of Florence, Italy. Died, says when he died there in Rome, and was an Italian Renaissance sculptor, painter, architect, poet. That's what he was into, that Renaissance period. You know, he had a big part in that, the iconoclasm. Who exerted a paralleled influence on the development of the Western art. Right, we just had a little glimpse of it there. Right, there you go. And I zoomed in a little bit on this here. Right, I zoomed in a little bit on this. This is called the Finger of God. Right, the painting. Oh, by the way, when did Michelangelo paint the 16th chapel here? This was around that era, the iconoclasm era. The iconoclasm or the Renaissance was around the 14th, or maybe even earlier than that, because there's a book, Nature Knows No Color Line. It goes a bit more specific than Google, right? When you get into the book, Nature Knows No Color Line by J.F. Rutherford. J.F. Rutherford. Who was he? J.F. Rutherford. Just look him up here on my tablet. Who was J.F. Rutherford? Hold on. No. Let's go to Google. It might give me a better up. I'm gonna do it so on my tabletop so you can see. Who wrote Nature Knows No Color Line?
According to Amazon UK, in Nature Knows No Color Line, originally published in 1952, historian Joel Augustus Rogers examined the origins of racial hierarchy and the color problem.
Right. So when you get into this book here, right, get into the books like we're doing. We're getting more into the books, right? And he's a Jamaican, which I didn't know that, but yeah. J.F. Augustus Rogers was a Jamaican American author, journalist, and amateur historian who focused on the history of Africa, right, as well as the African diaspora, right. So when you read that book, it's going to be more specific, more precise with the time of the Renaissance and a lot of other things, right. So Revelation also goes into that. Revelation chapters 22 and 3. So Michelangelo, right, the painter, when did Michelangelo paint the 16th chapel? Around the 1500 here, you can see, between 15th and the 12th, 15th of 1508 and 1512. Right, that's around that time. Let me ask a question here. Right, I just asked and it gives you precisely, right, some of the things that he be going into. Nature knows no color line. J.A. Rogers goes into precise dates, as far as when they were in the caves, when they came out, the Black Plague, and it's a lot of other things, right? And there's books that you can get receipts. So, iconoclasm.
According to Wikipedia, iconoclasm is the belief in the importance of the destruction of icons and other images or monuments, often for religious or political reasons.
Right, that's what he was into. This is what he was into, Michelangelo. Right, here you have, this is another one. I'm going to get into a little bit of this. I was curious because when I homed in on this Michelangelo 16th Chapel, Finger of God, right, we need to do a little bit of fact checking on it. Michelangelo decided to represent the divine breath of life with God's and Adam's finger. Let me hit a precept. I'm going to hit the precepts while they'll be flowing to me, right, as I'll be going through this, because the precepts are the receipts for those that can receive. Matthew 12 and 31 says, "Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit shall not be forgiven unto men." All right. Well, we need to do more fact checking on this dude here, the painter, Michelangelo. He was a chichi man. We were speaking code. He was a chichi man, right? Just like also his companion Donatello, also Leonardo da Vinci, all of them. Leonardo da Vinci, his comrade, partner in crime, was also into that iconoclasm, who painted the Mona Lisa. Tell you what, let's go to it. Leonardo da Vinci. Right? Leonardo da Vinci. These are some of his painting. Mona Lisas. Leonardo. Let me ask all the questions. Leonardo da Vinci's paintings. Yep, there you have it. He painted Caesar Borgia. He painted this one here. Right. All blasphemy. What's the other ones he painted? There you go. I remember this picture well. This is the Last Supper. And Mona Lisa. So we're giving you receipts here. Right? Once again, there's Caesar Borgia. Right? More blasphemy. All blasphemy. So this is a partner in crime. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Donatello. We touched a little bit in the week about the iconoclasm. So yeah, let's go back to what we was talking about, the finger of God. Yeah, the famous gesture represents the creation of the first man with the creator index finger ready to strike. Anyway, we know it's just folly. They be pulling these things out of there, right? Just to make the point, the iconoclasm. Let's go back and read that precept again, right? First Maccabees. We opened with it. When we opened with, let's find it. First Maccabees 3 and 48 says, "And they laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images." Right, so the 16th chapel, did we touch on it? Right, the 16th chapel is a chapel in the apostolic, so-called, these are the Pope's palace, the Pope's official residence in the Vatican. Oh, that's one of the unclean frogs brought out in Revelation 16, I believe. One of the unclean frogs. So you got the Vatican, right? The Vatican over there in Rome. You got the Pentagon, over there in America, Washington. That's their military. And then you got over here in Babylon, or the mother of Babylon, the banking system, right? As we know, they're getting busy with their banking system, they're going to make everything be digital, right? First, you're going to have the digital app. They're going to make that mandatory, the digital app, the digital ID, the app. then the digital currency, which for the most part it's already set up, ready to go, but they're going to make everything, put it into practice, and we know we're near the end. That we do know. So that's in fulfillment. The prophecies that's lined up, Revelation chapters 13. We're going to keep hitting that out like a broken record, in way of reminders for those who ain't going to take it. They ain't going to take it. But the Most High's movie is moving. Let me just say it like that. So the unclean frogs, right? This is one of the unclean frogs. The Vatican City, originally known as the Chapel Magna, it takes its name from Pope Sixtus VI, who had it built between 1473 and 1481. So there you have it. That's the 16th chapel. People be visiting there, right? This is the focus that decorate the entire, most particular, the 16th chapel ceiling and the last judgment, both by Michelangelo. So I gave you, right? That's him, right? A little bit of history on him, and he was a chichi man too. They ain't gonna tell you that, but yeah, there's books to back that up. All of them were, right? This is around the Renaissance period. Finger of God. There you have it there. That's all up. It's all up there. It's just basically blasphemy. So they be painting their images. So there you have it, man. Getting a little bit into that. I want to leave you that visual there. I'm going to hit some precepts. So I'll read it again. Matthew chapters 12. Don't need a lot of precepts. These are heavy hitting precepts, and it just tells you that when Yahushua return, we're going to get busy. Matthew 12 and 37. Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit shall not be forgiven. Yep, it ain't going to be forgiven. That time is coming. To back it up too, we're going to hit some of the revelation. To give you a little bit more receipts, Revelations chapters. So we want Revelations chapters 20, and we're going to read it. 20 and 2. I'll read from the top, from 1. He says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. Right? This is future judgment. Won't take place. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. As a matter of fact, this took place, right? He was bound. He was in the so-called, what they call the Caucasus Mountains, which is Mount Sia or Petra, and he was bound for 1,000 years. When you hear about what they call the Dark Ages, right, when so-called black people ruled. So that dragon, right, that dragon represents the empire, the Roman Empire, right, and they was bound up for 1,000 years, right, the caves in Mount Sia, otherwise known, the name changed to Petra, right. He was in that's, you can get into that in Job chapters 30 when they was roaming around. There's also a movie called Quest for Fire, when they was going around, couldn't even speak English, just, mumbling at each other, hunting like the beasts that they are. But the Most High revived them. It was all the Spirit of the Lord anyway, right? And you can get into that in Revelations chapters 13, chapters 3, right? When they was given back. As a matter of fact, let me hit that one. I want to hit that now. Revelation 13 and 3 says, and I saw one of the heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Right, talking about the Romans, the revived Romans. That deadly wound was healed, right, which was all the Spirit of the Lord revived him, because he had a job, he had a work to do. Let's go back to Revelations chapters 20. All right, he was hurled into the bottomless pit,
and set a seal upon it, that he should deceive the nations no more, right, till the 1,000 years should be filled. After that he must be loosed at a little season. Yeah. So we just looked at the Most High going to revive him. We looked at when we went back to Revelation 13, 2 and 3. He's been let loose now. Let's that wound have been healed. So 4, and I saw thrones, 3 rather, and I cast him unto the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon, right, upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosened a little while. Right. Hence, when they came out, we have it here. When he came out, right, he's part of it. Right, the iconoclasm, Michelangelo. Right, cast into the bottomless pit. Right, which is Europe. Yeah. They came out, so-called Caucasus Mountains, or Pedra, which is in Russia, Georgia, right? Turkey, Iran, Eastern Europe, right? That's where the so-called Caucasus Mountains is, or otherwise known as Petra, and Mount Seir, as we know it today, right? So they were driven among men, right? And they came out, and that's where they started to get busy with the iconoclasm, also the hedonism, right? Who was known for that? Alexander the Great. That's in First Maccabees 1, right? He started the ball rolling, and then you had Antiochus also, right? Who was intent and very persistent on trying to get, which he was very successful also in polluting the temple, and he made decrees that we can't even serve our own God, right? He made a strong, as a matter of fact, let me get that. That's in First Maccabees chapters 1 and 40. Hit a couple of these. First Maccabees 1 and 40 says, as he had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned unto mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that he should be one people. All right, what's that today? What they call that today? NWO. All right, that's what they call that today. NWO. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to the whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws, and all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yet many also of the Israelites consented, right? Many of the Israelites also consented, they agreed. It's going to go on to explain it. To his religious, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. There you have it. They profaned the Sabbath, and it goes on to explain, right, all the things that he did. Let me read a couple more. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is the people before it's a place. Second Maccabees chapters 5 and 19, right? So messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws. Let me say that again. That they should follow the strange laws of the land. That's correct. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drinks offerings in the temple, and they should profane the Sabbath and the festivals days, and polluted the sanctuary, the holy people. Right, once again, right, that's what Antiochus was intent on doing, right? Following from his he was an understudy to one of the generals of Alexander the Great. So that's what he was intent on doing, which when you get into it, bring it up to today, they call that the New World Order. And he wanted the same principle, or what they call New World Order, or the NWO, speaking in code there. So that's the point right there. So that's what happened, man. Right? That's what happened. You had his comrades here today following suit, a modern day example of iconoclasm. And he was intent on doing it. And when you read on, there's a lot of profane things he did. He talked about profaning the temple. There's a lot of profane things Antiochus did, otherwise known as that little horn. That's in Daniel chapters 8, around 23. So just wanted to bring out some of the facts here, right? Let's get back to where we were. Went into First Maccabees. We opened up with Maccabees chapters 3. I'm going to read that again, right? To get back on track. First Maccabees chapters 3 and 48 says, "And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images." Hence we have here, right, their images, right, so-called finger of God, right, which is what you looked at the precept, Matthew 12, right, Matthew 12 and 31. Let's read it again, right. Matthew 12 and 31 says, "Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall not be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit shall not be forgiven." So, right, that's the true definition of blasphemy. So let's get back to that Revelation, and then we're gonna close it. Revelation chapter 20. Reading from 3, "And cast him unto the bottomless pit," right? "Cast him unto the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be fulfilled." As a matter of fact, that 1,000 years was known as, let me tap this in. What was the Dark Ages?
According to EBSCO, the term Dark Ages refers to a controversial period in European history, specifically the early Middle Ages, traditionally spanning from the 5th to the 10th century, though some extend it to the 15th century.
All right, because once again, that book, Nature Knows No Color Line, right, goes into that. Nature Knows No Color Line. No, I tapped it in earlier. Here it is, J.F. Rutherford. Right, he's specific on the Dark Ages a bit more, and a lot of other books too. Also, you got when so-called blacks ruled Europe and Scotland and Ireland. Right, is more specific about these days, because Google be, even a broken clock be right twice a day. But so I wanted to ask another thing. What was the bubonic plague and the bubonic plague? All right. When? Question is, when was the bubonic plague and the bubonic plague? Basically the same thing. Right. See? That was when we was ruling. Right. When blacks were ruling. Right. Blacks were ruling various parts. Right. Blacks were ruling. When you read on, let me read on. 3. "And cast him unto the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more." So we was ruling around that time, right? Black, so-called bubonic plague. Can we still get the right? It's just giving me the time period, right? And that was called the Dark Ages, when the Most High allowed the bubonic plague to deteriorate the Dark Ages. It came upon the black people so that Esau can get up in there. Right, so that we go back to Revelations 20. Man, this is going to be a short video, but I just want to classify certain things. So Revelations 20,
talks about the bottomless pit, and it was shut. Right, the Nature Knows No Color line is around when they went into they was in the Mount Petra, or so-called Caucasus Mountains, or Mount Seir. They was in that bottomless pit, and it was sealed for 1,000 years. Right, should be fulfilled, and after that it must be loosened a little season. Right, that's when the devil was loosened. And I saw thrones, so that's the point right there. He was loosened for a little season, and he came up with all the ideas of the iconoclasm, right, and the Renaissance period, which we just looked at some of the examples there. Lord willing, the Wada Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai, Kala Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. There you have it. That's the definition. That's the true definition. True definition of blasphemy. Let's go back. Lord willing, it was edifying. Let's go back. We opened up with it. We're going to close with it. First Maccabees 3:48. First Maccabees 3:48 says, and laid open the books of the law wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So you had the Michelangelo, right? The Michelangelo. This is what he did, the finger of God, right? And it's still there today. People still be visiting that place, right? It's just a definition of a modern day example of blasphemy, still sticking their fingers up. And also there are other precepts to back up that. Was you could bring out is Esau, is a deceiver, a true deceiver, a subtle serpent, which he deceived Eve in the garden. That's Genesis chapter 3. Also Psalms 58 as well talks about that man. As a matter of fact, let me hit that one. I'm going to end with that. Point done made. But I just wanted to go over some of these historical facts and bring out some visual images for those out there. Psalms 58 and 3 says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Here you have it. All right? The wicked be estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. The Warrior Bashim Shai, and this is an example of their lies. Iconoclasm, image breaking, and the Renaissance period. Enough said on that. Shalom until the next one.